And good morning, everybody. Good to have you with us on a Thursday Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. That is Alex Becker, our producer on a daily basis. He's subbing in for Eric on a couple of days where he's got some family business to take care of. Eric will be back on the show tomorrow, Friday. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing just fine. Another great NBA Finals game last night. Enjoyed it. Pacers taking care of business. Doing great on this Thursday morning.
Yeah, we'll get into this in the second half of the show, but let's tease it just a little bit. I thought that the Pacers kind of played Oklahoma City basketball and beat them at their own game.
They really did. They really did.
Yeah.
They wore them down in the second half. That they played hard. They made the youngest team in the NBA look a little tired. So they did play their brand of basketball.
Yeah, I agree. Oklahoma City to me never really got into their rhythm, but like I said, we'll get to it. All right, we want to remind you the best way to buy what you want to buy at the price that you want to pay is at Roller Auctions, rollerauctions.com, the leader in Colorado auctions now for over 45 years. On Wednesday, June 18th, next week, Buy and Build Home Improvement is having an auction for kitchen cabinets, sets, flooring, bathroom vanities, and more. The online bidding has already started at rollerauction.com. Don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price that you want today at rollerauction.com. By the way, it's just a really good place. It's a very entertaining website to go to because they've got these auctions going on all over everywhere, and what they auction off leaves little to the imagination. It's pretty remarkable. All right, with that, let's get to the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
All right, Alex, day 2 of minicamp. We are going to have a day 3. I mean, we've had times in the past where on this third day of minicamp, it kind of becomes like a flag day at school back in the day or something like that.
Field day,
flag day, field day. That's what I mean. It was funny. Sean Payton was asked about that yesterday. Said, "Hey, are you going to have a full day of practice?" And he looked at whoever asked the question, I don't remember who, with a quizzical look, saying, "Yeah, that stuff went out in about 2011. Those sweet days that you give a team off. We're going to have a salt day tomorrow," is what he said. So they will practice today and get a full day out of it. The big story yesterday was really the big story, or the day before was the signing of JK Dobbins. We did get a sighting of JK Dobbins. He talked to us in the media. He did some stretching, worked on the side field, probably working on just his conditioning, and then off we went. So really, yesterday was more team sessions, working on red zones, working on the 2-minute drill. Bo Nix had a very good day yesterday where I thought he was kind of so-so the day before. But there's an interesting thing starting to develop now, I think, Alex, in the running back room. And it's a numbers game. You've got J.K. Dobbins and you've got R.J. Harvey. So the two running backs that are clearly going to make this football team without any doubt whatsoever. But are you really going to carry as many as 5 running backs? Are you going to carry as many as 4 running backs? You're going to carry a fullback in Michael Burton. I think that much to me seems obvious. You can use Nate Atkins, one of the tight ends, in a fullback kind of role. He did that to some degree last year. My guess is that Sean will carry Michael Burton. And then will he carry 4 more running backs? If I had to guess, I would say 3 will be active on game day. He may carry 1, depending on the eligibility that he has for practice squad. But all of a sudden now, you're asking questions about who the odd man out might be. Would it be Audric Estime? Gasp. a guy that was picked in the draft a year ago? Could it be a Jaleel McLaughlin? Very unlikely for me because he plays special teams.
Correct.
And then you've got a Tyler Bidet, who's kind of an interesting X factor, can do a lot of things, was injured a fair portion of last year, but he's back this year. Is there all of a sudden a numbers crunch in the running back room by bringing JK Dobbins in?
There is a bit. I would think Audric Estime would make the team, or would at least be put on the practice squad over a guy like Blake Watson, over a guy like Tyler Bidet. To me, he would make it. Jaleel McLaughlin would be the number 3 back. Estime number 4. But things could change. Things could change quite a bit. We saw Watson kind of come on at the end last year. I remember the Chargers game in LA. He played in that game. Saw a fair share of work. But I think Audric Estime would just barely make the team. And you're right, Jaleel McLaughlin, being the contributor that he is on special teams, is pretty much a lock to make the team.
You know, Sean Payton loves his 3 down backs. They're rare now in the National Football League. Most teams don't. I mean, you've got your Najee Harris's and you've got your, Barkley, obviously. I mean, there's some 3 down backs out there that can also pass, protect, and do things. And J.K. Dobbins is one of those guys. I think he's waiting to see where he is with R.J. Harvey in terms of a 3 down back. We haven't seen R.J. Harvey in any kind of pass protection, although interestingly, Alex, they're working on it almost daily. The running backs, this young running back room, really working hard on the correct way to engage bigger defenders coming at them. And it's kind of interesting to watch. But now I'm starting, you start to think a little bit as the wheels get in motion about a player like J.K. Dobbins. And you talked about it yesterday, that Dobbins is a guy that maybe could start the season getting most of the reps in a 3 down back kind of way. I guess it starts to make some sense to me a little bit. I'm not sure that that's what Sean Payton has in mind. I'm not even sure. I think that Sean has something in mind, but publicly he's saying, you know what? We're going to sign the player. We've signed the player. He's here. We know what the player is about, and we'll just see how this thing develops through training camp. And maybe really that's the answer. We'll see how this thing develops through training camp.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. You know, what he called Dobbins a good football player yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about running balance, his instincts. So he doesn't say a whole lot. He calls a lot of guys good football players. Sometimes that's as far as he'll go. But yeah, as far as the 3 down back thing, we'll see how it plays out. I don't know if Dobbins it seems like to me, Harvey is going to see a lot of work.
I think so too.
And it's hard to imagine Dobbins being on the field all 3 downs. He's not the Derrick Henry, 6'2", 6'3",
right,
220-pound guy. So I see him, like a Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara type deal, like he had in New Orleans, a thunder and a lightning. Might be a thunder and thunder though with Harvey and Dobbins.
Yeah, no question about it. It'll be really interesting. Dobbins told us he thought it wouldn't take any more than 2 weeks to become up to speed with the system that the Broncos run. I don't think we'll probably see him in any individuals or team sessions today. There's really no point. You know what the player is about. We'll reload with him in July, late July at training camp. But it'll be interesting to see. Really engaging guy who you could tell has a chip on his shoulder now because of the way that the Chargers tendered him in free agency, didn't protect him in free agency. This was a 900-yard guy rushing a year ago, a better than 1,000-yard guy in 13 games from the line of scrimmage. So he was a very productive back. Now, granted, it was his best season. It was a career season that has been marked and potholed by an incredible series of injuries. But he was so glad to be a Denver Bronco, said that he really was kind of pointing towards Denver from the beginning of this process, and you don't know how much of that is player speak. He ends up in Denver. Maybe he wanted to be here the whole time. Maybe he wanted to go where the best deal was. I'm not going to debate that, but it'll be interesting to see the chip on the shoulder that he plays with. And he talked about it yesterday. He says, they got to play me twice now. Best of luck to him. They got to play me twice. And he talked very interestingly, and it took me back to Joe Flacco. When asked the question about Drew Lock, are you ready to mentor a young quarterback? And Joe Flacco said, without hesitation, no, that's not my job. My job is to be the quarterback of this football team and give this football team the best chance to win. JK Dobbins yesterday said, boom, job number one is to be a veteran presence and leader and mentor in this room to not only RJ Harvey, who he's already seen enough of to say, this guy's going to be a really good football player, but the rest of the room as well, which is a very young room. So be that as it may, the JK Dobbins experiment has started in Denver. I think it'll probably go well. We'll have to wait and see on that. While discussing, Sean Payton said something yesterday, Alex, while discussing special teams coach Darren Rizzi, who of course finished last year in New Orleans as the interim head coach, and I thought really did a pretty good job with the Saints in the second half. That wasn't a very good football team in the first half. Cost a head coach his job. Darren Rizzi comes in and he does restore some balance and some competitiveness, and the Saints were actually a better football team in the second half. We all remember how the Broncos went down there and had their way against the Saints. But he said something about Darren Rizzi that I thought was interesting, revealing kind of his philosophy on hiring coaches that he generally has to know something about, either some kind of past experience with someone that knows about a coach maybe that he hasn't worked with in the past, but he has a network of people like that. But I thought his quote was very interesting, maybe the most interesting thing that he said yesterday. I value compatibility, said Payton. It's as important as coaching ability. I don't want problems. I don't want headaches. We manage a team. I don't want to manage a coaching staff. It's important there's cohesiveness amongst those guys. Is compatibility as important as your ability to coach?
I'd say so. I mean, it's
too.
kind of like marriage, right? I mean, not that I would know, but like how easily and how comfortably coaches can get along with others. I think that goes a long way. I mean, it's obviously important to be a smart ball coach and know what you're doing, but being able to exist and being able to function without problems or headaches, like Darren Rizzi said, I think is very important as well. And I like that Sean Payton looks for those traits in coaches. It's so important in the NFL and in that business is how well you can work with others. I mean, I'm sure there's been so many coaches that are really good at with the X's and O's, but cannot just correlate with players and other coaches as well.
Well, and when you think about distractions, sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big. Why in the world would any coach, first of all, it makes sense, and it's kind of a duh sort of thing. I just haven't heard it verbalized that way. You want to surround yourself with guys that can do the job, but guys that you can trust, because you don't want to have to some guys do like to micromanage. I mean, you still see it. It's a hard thing to do in the NFL because there are so many moving parts. But I do think the compatibility is an absolute key issue, especially for a guy like Sean Payton, who really wants to zero in on what this team is doing in the moment. He's been doing a lot of coaching during these OTAs. I watched him very interestingly over the last 2 days, working very closely with the offense in the red zone. I mean, like coaching, instructing, moving guys. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we're trying to do with this pattern. Move a guy this way, break back that way. I mean, he was very, very hands-on. But to do that, you have to have tremendous trust in being able to delegate authority to other coaches to, in effect, allow them to do their jobs. And that's sometimes hard for a type AAA personality. And I think we would all agree that Sean Payton is certainly a AAA personality to do. But I think it's one of the things that has made him so good at what he does. And like I said, it seems like an obvious thing, but it doesn't always necessarily work out that way on staffs. I mean, Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan most famously showed you about, discourse and things of that nature, but it happens maybe not to that obvious of a degree, but I think it's very interesting. And I thought that was a very interesting statement from Sean Payton. Really tells you a lot about the way that he likes to lead and the way that he likes to coach.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That's good comparison, or the Buddy Ryan, Mike Ditka, and how bad that got. It was almost like the offense versus the defense. You never want that in the locker room. And he's been through so many experiences. He's been through the highest of highs, winning the Super Bowl, the lowest of lows, being suspended for an entire year. So he knows what works and what doesn't. And for Darren Rizzi to say that, I'm glad that stood out to you, because that's a noteworthy quote. And it deserves to be talked about like we are.
All right, this rookie class. We've talked about them individually. Let's talk about this group collectively a little bit. Pat Bryant has really flashed. That's almost not an accurate term, because he's done more than flashed. He's been kind of a mainstay the last couple of days. Don't know why Devon Vele has been absent. It doesn't seem like a big deal. I don't think it's anything injury-wise, but Pat Bryant has stepped into the void of Devon Vele missing, and maybe Vele's back today. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But Pat Bryant has really been in the spotlight because of the absence of Vele. He's had more eyes on him, and I'll tell you what, this guy really runs precise patterns, catches the football. I did see him yesterday not finish a reception on a ball that was thrown very hard by Bo Nix in a short space, and it was out in front of him a little bit. He actually got his hands on the ball, but it's the first time I've ever seen him get his hands on a ball that he didn't catch. Be that as it may, he also did turn around about 5 plays later and make a great over-the-shoulder catch, running hard to the corner for a touchdown on a beautifully thrown ball by Bo Nix. But he's not the only one. And you start to think about the guys that are making differences now. Q Robinson was a guy that was taken in the 4th, 5th round out of Alabama, a guy that was thought of nothing, well, at least at the time. You never know what they were thinking long term. But at the time, he was talked more about a project, a special teams player, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you buy on future, I mean, it's done all the time. But Q Robinson, granted, not necessarily in contact fashion, has been in backfields all during OTAs. And all of a sudden now, and yesterday, Lawner made a great, the tight end out of Utah, Caleb Lawner made a really nice catch moving down the field. And all of a sudden you're looking around, Crawshaw's cranking these monster punts. This rookie class has done about as well, Alex, right now as you can do without putting pads on. From Jahdae Barron, who is clearly going to be a player, R.J. Harvey, who is clearly going to be a player, Pat Bryant, who I think has a chance to be, I'm not calling my shot, but has a chance to be WR2, that kind of guy. I think he has a chance. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, because I think Troy Franklin has really made some moves as well. More quietly, because you're not paying quite as much attention to a second-year guy, but he's certainly in the mix. And then obviously Marvin Mims is the X factor in that receiving room, where you line him up and how you go. I don't think you'd probably consider Marvin Mims a WR2 as much as you consider him an X factor, guy that you can do different things with, lining him up in the backfield, etc. So you've got those three guys. You've got Savion Jones, who I really like, hasn't probably flashed as much lately here at camp, but we'll see about him. Q Robinson, who has flashed. And then you get down to the punter, Crawshaw, who is, I think, a potential game changer. That's 5 guys right there that could very much be in the mix, Alex, on a playoff football team that is coming off of a playoff run and returns 86% of their roster. This is part of the 14% that Sean Payton is looking to plug holes with or to accentuate positions with. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself and I don't want to be overly excited, but it's clear to me, I think, and I think probably clear to Sean Payton, that this rookie class is going to be able to help immediately and help maybe in a deeper fashion that they thought. So I will leave it at that because I don't want to be considered a knee-jerk guy. I will wait until we see these guys in pads to make definitive statements. But I will say this. Coming out of OTAs, obviously you add JK Dobbins, but I'm not so sure the biggest takeaway from it collectively is a rookie class that can really make a difference on a football team that returns the lion's share of a roster that reached the playoffs a year ago.
Man, that is great to hear, especially the first half of the draft with the first 3 rounds with Barron and Harvey and then Pat Bryant. I mean, everything you're saying, Pat Bryant sounds like Rod Smith to me. Just a steady receiver, doesn't have the top end speed, didn't run a 4.3, projected a 5th, 6th round pick, but catches everything and I think is a Sean Payton type receiver. So when you said WR2, that raised my eyebrows a little bit.
And rightfully so. And I could be proven wrong on that. And the Rod Smith comparison is inevitable. I think the Michael Thomas comparison that Sean Payton made, and he was careful to make it early on. He said he had Michael Thomas-like qualities. I don't think he was making an apples to apples comp, in fairness to Sean. And sometimes in the media, we tend to run with that stuff, and it's not fair. That's a lot to ask for a rookie coming in to all of a sudden being comped to either one of those guys, by the way, a Rod Smith type or a Michael Thomas type. That's a lot to ask for a player. But the funny thing is, and it's not funny, it's interesting. The ironic thing is, if you're good enough to elicit those types of comps, even somewhat half-heartedly maybe, or whatever, I think that's a good thing because you've got a skill set that is obviously translatable from the college game to the NFL, and you see the chances for him to be good. He so fits the mold of what Sean Payton likes. Good size, good route runner, good catch radius, catches the ball. You got a lot of guys like that. And you got another guy in Joaquin Davis out of North Carolina Central who fits that bill as well, who's kind of catching balls now in the shadows a little bit. He has been another guy, and he's 6'4" with great length, 6'4", 200. But, man, he catches the ball too. So you've got some guys now that in that receiving room that make that fairly intriguing as well. That's what I have for you. Is there anything else that we missed that you needed to hit upon with the Broncos before we've turned the page, take a break, and go to the NBA?
Well, the only thing was, I mean, this is aside from minicamp, but I saw they bought $150 million in property near the Burnham Yard.
Glad you reminded me. Yeah, six different parcels in Barnum Yard. down around 6th and Osage and that kind of in that
south
area.
South of Metro State.
South of Metro State, which would be, I think, an ideal place to add a stadium. They would maintain the downtown feel. They would be in a familiar area with still very good access, mass transit access, and obviously, great road access and freeway access. My wife said it today as she was leaving. She said, man, these guys really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They really know what they're doing. And, there will be people that just kind of brush it off as, well, this is what money can do. You know what? It takes smart people to make that kind of money,
Totally.
and to understand business as they do. And I love it. I think it would be a great place, not good. I think it would be a great place to build. It would have plenty of room. Parcels are already being, I guess they've got 6 different kind of parcels of land with Broncos connections. That's kind of how it's being termed right now, with Broncos connections. But that would make great sense. Very exciting, isn't it? Boy, I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime that you start thinking about a new facility, it's really exciting because, Alex, you go there all the time. There is nothing wrong with Empower Field. It's a damn good facility. There's nothing wrong with it at all. They've spent a lot of money into it, but they want the next level of home that you can, let's just call it for what it is. You can host a Super Bowl.
Oh.
Which would be, how cool would that be, hosting a Super
huge
Bowl?
For Denver. Yeah.
Absolutely. It would be as well. When we continue, the U.S. Open is underway. We won't update you with the leaderboard because that's not what we do here, but we'll chat a little bit about observations about the U.S. Open, the setup for the course, how difficult it is, and whether it's the kind of thing that you like to watch. But when we continue, let's get into the NBA as we continue. Hot takes with Goodman and Haertl, Alex Becker, today as we continue on a Thursday.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
All right, welcome back. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Alex Becker with us today on a Thursday. Eric will be back in the studio tomorrow, so we look forward to that. Finishing up the last day of minicamp out at Broncos. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how long and how hard they go on a very hot day. Last 2 days, Alex, very warm days. And I wasn't out there practicing, but I'll tell you one thing. It was a warm day, and it looks like now for the extended forecast that we are going to be into the 90s anyway. So here we go.
Summer is here to stay.
Yeah, it is the month of June, right? I guess we can just all get used to it. Real quickly, before we get to the buzz and the NBA, how are you on the U.S. Open? How much will you watch of the U.S. Open, realistically?
I'm gonna watch probably all 4 rounds, not the entire day, but
Right.
I like golf. I've really gotten into it the last probably 5-6 years, and the U.S. Open, it's always a really tough course, and it really challenges the players. I remember last year they were at Pinehurst number 2 in North Carolina. Greens were just super fast and ridiculous. Now, like you and Eric talked about 2 days ago, the rough is going to play a factor. I saw John Rahm and Rory and these guys trying to chip out of that deep rough yesterday. They were having all kinds of issues and frustration. I'm really excited. Oakmont is well known to be a super tough course, and it favors long hitters. Tiger was talking a little bit about it yesterday, but it's kind of like a will and fortitude. Who can stay mentally sharp, and I think whoever does that's going to come out on top.
And who can take their medicine and get on beyond it? If you're going to take the penalty, and when I mean the penalty is if you hit it into the rough, you're not getting it out. You're not going to get it out with spin. You're not going to be able to land it. Take your medicine and go on. Sometimes bogey can be a good score. The setup, you talked about it. To me, it's always borderline unfair. Now, unfair in terms of how you and I and Eric would view it, because we're just a bunch of hack golfers that go out and play. I thought it was really interesting earlier in the week on social media was making the rounds. What would an 18 handicap score at Oakmont? And there were widely different ranges of scoring, but they were all generally starting with the 1 in front of it, as in 100 and fill in the blank, 120, 145, 160. Is it fun to watch guys of that, even guys at the elite level, sometimes struggle mightily, like we can even on a municipal course somewhere? Because to me, I want to see the best players in the world play great golf. And I understand the mental challenge of playing in a U.S. Open maybe once or twice a year where the setup is just so remarkably challenging. Maybe that's okay every now and then. But I got to tell you, Alex, and I don't want to see 22 under winning. Yeah, I'm good with like 3 under, 4 under, something like that. I don't want the course to be the entire story. I want the guys playing the course still to be the story.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. You don't want the course to grab all the headlines.
Yeah.
And, it didn't play fair. It was rough. They had an issue at the PGA Championship a few weeks ago with the mud balls on the first day. Scotty Scheffler made a big deal out of that, but then he turned it around and stopped worrying about that and ended up winning the tournament. So I think it's going to be challenging but fair to players. I think
challenging but fair. We can live with that. That's okay.
I think that seems like that's what the U.S. Open goes for every single year, to really make the players think, and it's a strategic thing. And,
no question.
I'm excited to see some competitive golf. And,
yes.
Yeah.
I would say that I will watch parts of, some more than other, all 4 rounds, just like you. All right, let's get to the buzz.
What's trending on Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl? Brought to you by Mile High Sports.
Or what's trending, whichever one you want to call it. Indiana has a 2-1 lead in the NBA Finals after a 116-107 win in Game 3 last night in Indianapolis, the first of 2 games in Indianapolis. The Pacers outscoring the Thunder by 14 points in a dominant second quarter and an even more 18 points dominant fourth quarter. They were the better defensive team, which is kind of difficult to imagine. Oklahoma City has lived with their defensive prowess, but Indiana forced 17 turnovers, collected 21 points from those 17 turnovers. SGA, I thought, was held relatively in check, 24 points, but on 20 shots. He got 5 of 6 from the line, but he turned it over 6 times. Tyrese Halliburton, his counterpart, or at least as close to it for Indiana, 22 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. It's not like the Pacers shot lights out. They did shoot nearly 52%, but only 33% from beyond the arc. It wasn't what you prototypically would have prescribed for Indiana to have won that game. They're going to rain down some 3-pointers. They didn't do that at all. They beat them with mid-range games. They beat them with transition. They beat them with defense. Do they have a working model now with 2 wins in 3 games that you can see them applying moving forward? Or is this just a hold my beer moment? We'll be back for Game 4. The Thunder are still prohibitive favorites.
I think the Pacers can win the series. They can, not saying they will, but like you said, the blueprint last night is something that they should go with going forward. I mean, I saw they're 6.5-point underdogs again in Game 4, but I don't think they care how they're viewed. They've been doubted throughout most of the playoffs. I mean, we talked about it, 20 minutes ago. They just play so hard, and I thought they wore down the Thunder a little bit in the second half last night. The entire bench was really good. Ben Mathurin specifically,
Wow.
TJ McConnell off the bench. I mean, he came in making every single hustle play, causing havoc, made an instant impact right when he entered the game. And then Mathurin has shown he can explode from time to time. 27 points in 22 minutes. Man, he was on a heater last night. So I think the Pacers, they can win the series. They just got to keep, do what they do last night. And it's going to be, I think it's going to go 7 games.
All right, 7 games seems like it was brought into the mix, certainly last night. No question about it. I don't know how much that Indiana will continue to enjoy bench dominance, because that's a calling card of the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. They dominated them last night, 49 points off the bench for just 18 from OKC. It was one of those very imbalanced kind of dominating performances. But more than anything, defense, the way they stepped up defensively, to me, gives them a working model. I don't know if you want to take your chances trying to track meet Oklahoma City. Yeah. You obviously you've got 2 outstanding performances by individuals coming off the bench. You can't always count on that, but they got it last night. But defense, and the way that they played defense last night, that is the way that Indiana can get to this thing and have a chance to win it. I agree. We said yesterday, you absolutely have to win Game 3 for so many reasons. To get up 2 games to 1, to also to break through with the confidence that you can do it, and they found a different way to do it. So I'm very interested. I still think Oklahoma City is the better of the 2 teams. I think that will show as the series plays out. But I'm with you, Alex. All of a sudden, 7 games is very much in the mix. If you can call your shot after 3, I'm going to go with Oklahoma City in 7. Do you have any feel for it?
I think the Thunder do win Game 4, and I do like the Thunder in 7 games. But I will say this. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander needs to really crank it up a notch here in Game 4 and really show why he won the MVP award. no doubt in my mind that Nikola Jokic would put his team on his back in this situation. So the Thunder need that from their superstar. He needs to have a big game in Game 4.
All right, Alex, great job today and over the last couple of days. We appreciate it. Eric will be back tomorrow. From all of us here at Hot Takes for Goodman and Haertl, have a good day, everybody.